Okay, I am waiting for the PowerPoint to appear. And then we will get started. There it is. So hello, everyone. Welcome to our first virtual 9th grade coffee talk. I hope you all have a lovely cup of coffee ready. I have already had 7, so I am ready to do this. I have with me today Mr. Farley, and we are going to share what we believe are the most important things for you to know right now to help your child be successful during their freshman year, since they're straight out of middle school. So today, what we'll be going over is, first of all, freshman year. Does it actually matter? You know, a lot of kids think that, oh, it's 9th grade, I can make mistakes, no big deal. Now, of course, they can make mistakes, but it does actually matter, and we're going to explain how that works. The second thing that comes up a lot is, who do I contact when I have issues? You know, who does what, and who do I go to? So we'll be discussing that. If you could go back one slide, please. Okay, sorry. We're also going to be discussing the graduation requirements, as these are going to be the ultimate goal for your child in their 4 years here at Wellington. We'll discuss GPA and how that is calculated. A lot of parents are a little bit confused about how GPA starts your freshman year and what middle school credits will carry over. So we'll discuss that today. We'll also talk about, like I said, who's available for your student and how you get in touch with them. And as we all know, right now is a pretty crazy time. So we're going to do our best to give you some tips and strategies to help your child during this unprecedented school year. At the end of our PowerPoint, you will be able to ask live. And please excuse me, we do have bells because we are live on campus. And please excuse that. Hopefully we won't hear another one, but if we do, excuse that one too. So ask live questions. If you could do that at the end, that would be really great, because, just kidding, there's another bell. Okay. If you save your questions for the end, I know that there's a lot of things that you may have questions about that we might not touch base on in this presentation. That being said, if you have questions about anything that does not come up today that has to do with their freshman year, at the end of this, you will be able to type your questions in, and Mr. Farley and I will take care of those at the end. Okay? So let's go ahead. Okay, so your child has a lot of people available to help them when he or she is here. In the 9th grade services team, we have your AP, or assistant principal, Mr. Mike Kozlowski. You have Mr. Tanton, Mr. Lee Tanton. He is your dean. Coach H, as we lovingly call Mr. Avila, is our 9th grade behavioral coach and technology guru. Miss Pollard is our ESE specialist who can help you if your child has an IEP. Mr. Wilkinson is in charge of our academies, and he does all the coordinating for that. If your child's in an academy, very important email to have. Ms. Drucker is our ACE expert and coordinates all of our ACE curriculum, our exams, and she is an excellent source if you have questions about the ACE diploma. Mr. Farley is right here on the screen, live and in color, and he is here for 9th grade students A through L. There's me. I am the counselor for students whose last names are M to Z. Miss Gallardo, who is our ELL counselor, she is there to help students, well, all students, but especially helpful when you may need translation or there's any language barriers. And she'll be sharing a live video with us in just a moment so she can explain a little bit about what she does. And finally, we have Miss Joseph, who is actually with us today to talk a little bit about the on-site therapeutic services that we offer.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Claudia Gallardo, and I am the school counselor for ELL students grades 9 through 12. ELL stands for English Language Learners. Although I work exclusively with the ELL population, I'm here for all students at Wellington High School. If you or another parent prefers to speak to a school counselor in Spanish, please feel free to reach out to me. I am here to service and help all families and students. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Claudia Gallardo. Soy la consejera académica de los estudiantes del programa de ESOL del grado 9 a 12. Aunque yo trabajo exclusivamente con los estudiantes del programa de ESOL, estoy aquí para brindar apoyo y ayuda a cualquier familia o estudiante que prefiera hablar con un consejero en español. Si usted o otro padre de familia necesita ayuda, tiene alguna inquietud, alguna pregunta o alguna preocupación acerca de su estudiante y quisiera hablar con alguien en español, por favor, tenga la confianza de dirigir cualquier pregunta a mí o puede llamar a mi oficina en cualquier momento. Yo estoy aquí para apoyar y para ayudar a todos los estudiantes en nuestro colegio. Muchas gracias.
Okay, so thank you. That was Miss Gallardo, who is available. I don't know what she said in Spanish, but I'm sure it was probably the same thing as what she said in English, in case you were confused. So here you can see your school counselors. If you don't know who your child's counselor is, after today, no excuses. You can see our cute little faces on here. We have Mr. Farley and me. Now, you'll notice a big difference between last year and this year, because this year we are the masked counselors. So we definitely make sure to show a good example to our students. And unfortunately, we can't have a lot of students in our office like we would have liked to previously, but we do find ways to make it work and remain socially distanced. I would also like to point out that we are adorable. Moving on. Okay, so all jokes aside, guys, the main reason that we are here is to make sure that you guys have access to what you need: resources, support, and help. This year, a new thing is our Google Classroom. Since your student is on Google Classroom all the time, we've added ours too. So you have another source. When you go to our classroom, there is our code right there. That is the code that you will place into the, it'll ask you for a code. You'll place that there. You'll click join. Hopefully many of you are already there. This is a work in progress, but every day now we are adding school news. That's where we'll put information about testing administrations, for example, where to go on testing dates. We try to make sure you have that on there. We will also post community service opportunities, virtual. So lots of parents have been asking about, how we get those. That will be there, and other things that come up. So encourage your child and to check it, every day, and you can check it as well as we put things for parents too. Okay, so what do we do? Basically, I'm not going to read the whole slide to you, but the school counselor, we're here to assist with basically anything that is a social or a personal or an academic issue. If students aren't sure what classes are right for them based on their previous academic history, that's where we come in. We also, especially in the 9th grade, try to teach our students to advocate for themselves and to learn how to communicate better with their teachers on their own. That's a big piece of the 9th grade. We also help them and you to connect with other resources, perhaps outside counseling or academic tutors, whatever the case may be. We help you find the support that you need. And during the school day, we provide a safe place for students. So sometimes a student may be having a really hard time or have extreme anxiety, and we're here to help them when they need us. Okay, so to reiterate, in the 9th grade, what do we expect of your child? First of all, and this is going to sound a little bit weird this year, but be present. That doesn't just mean that you logged in. Okay, that means being present, focused, paying attention, on the camera, with the camera on if you're at home. And of course, when you're in class, then just, be there. And be there every day. A lot of students think, oh, if I miss one day, it's not a big deal. But actually, the way our block schedule is now, if students miss one class period, they actually have 2 absences. The only period that's different for is period 5. But generally speaking, missing one class period now is a pretty big chunk of instruction. So, of course, if you need to be out, that's fine. But try to remain aware that this does put you at a disadvantage. Being courteous and respectful. This has been a rule, I'm sure, for your child since day 1 of kindergarten, and it remains all the way through high school and hopefully far beyond. Being courteous and respectful right now obviously has some new details. It includes wearing your mask, remaining 6 feet apart from other students and from faculty members, staying behind the plexiglass if your teacher has plexiglass on their desk, and making sure that you're respectful. All of those kinds of things are included in that, but generally speaking, we expect our students to look out for the people around them and to be respectful to everyone they come in contact with. And we also will reciprocate the same. Listen. That's a big one. Not just hear, but listen. We expect our students to ask questions when they don't understand, to review what their teachers tell them, to listen to the rules when they're explained to them, to listen to the things that we tell them when we go into their classrooms. All of that is something that we give them information. So if they don't listen, what are we doing? Maintaining communication, huge. This is new to many students. The idea that they can actually email their teacher and their parents don't have to do it. We encourage the student to communicate on his or her own. Many times students feel a little funny doing this, at least initially, and we always tell them you can CC us on there as well. For example, if you're asking a teacher about a grade or an assignment, something like that, and you feel a little bit unsure the first time you email, just CC the counselor as well. That way we're kind of there backing up the student, and it takes a little bit of pressure off of them. It also keeps us in the loop so we know what's going on. Technology. This one's changed. So using technology when and as permitted, it used to be put your phone away, put your computer away, and now it's totally different. Now you need your computer, and you need your computer to be charged, and you need your microphone to be working, and you need your camera to be on if you're virtual. Many students say, I don't feel comfortable with the camera, and of course we work with students on a case-by-case basis, but generally speaking, you're in class, your camera needs to be on. That might require your child to change where their camera is. They should not be operating, for example, from their bathroom or bedroom, in case they weren't sure. Google Classroom. All of the teachers have a Google Classroom here at Wellington. If students don't know where it is, that's a problem. They should be on there every single day, checking the classwork stream for assignments. There's a to-do list that shows up, which is very useful for the students to see if there's any tasks that they have due. They also can check there for news, and their grades go through there as well. So teachers use this basically as their hub for information. So it's also useful for the parents to check the Google Classrooms too. And charge your Chromebook. Okay, even if you're on campus or if you're off campus, we expect that you are using the Chromebook for the most part. It needs to be charged. Please do not attempt to take an hour-long assessment in one of your classes and then in the middle of the assessment say, oh no, my computer died. That's a problem. And it's a problem that can be easily avoided if they charge their Chromebook. So we just need to make it part of the routine. Okay, so back to that idea about 9th grade. It does count. So your GPA starts, well, it may have already started. If a child took a middle school course such as algebra or a physical science possibly, you might already have a GPA. For the rest of you, if you did not take any high school classes in middle school, then your GPA will start kicking in January. Now, you may see a GPA in your SIS for the quarter, but just be aware that that GPA is simply for your reference. So the actual GPA that colleges will see, that will go on your transcript, that only updates twice a year, and we'll go over that more later. But the point here is your GPA starts now, and it's really difficult to come out of a big hole if you dig a hole in ninth grade. Self-reliance is one of the biggest obstacles, I think, that we try to overcome when working with our students, helping them to be reliant on themselves and not on the teacher to tell them everything all the time. For example, if a teacher says, I use my Google Classroom to tell you what your assignments are and when your due dates are, and then a student never checks there, they can't expect that teacher to hunt them down, call them, email them, and say, hey, honey, don't forget you have something that's due. That happened in middle school to a lot of our students. And sometimes they don't understand that that's not how it's going to be. And we try to help them out in ninth grade, and we remind them, but their teachers are going to depend more and more on the student to put in the work themselves. They need to check their assignments. They need to figure out a way to manage their time, and they need to figure out a way to keep everything organized, because that's usually the biggest issue, is they can't find where their planner is, or they don't know where they put that, or they don't know what classroom it was in. Being organized now might be a little more complicated because now you must be electronically organized, but it's still one of the best ways to avoid having a lot of issues with your classes. Okay, be an advocate for yourself. I already said that, but I'll say again, your child needs to advocate for him or herself, and then we back them up. I tell my students all the time, you're my client, so I'm here to help you, and I'm here to support you, but you also have to support yourself. Self-growth. So hopefully they've been growing forever, but in high school, we really try to explain to them that from 9th to 12th grade, you want to show colleges as well as, possible employers, as well as your family and yourself, that you have continuously grown. So let's say that you start something new this year. Rather than try 9 different clubs, we say try something new this year, and then if you like it, stay with that for 4 years. See how you change and grow when you stay with the same organization for a period of time. Try to take over a leadership role. Try something new. So that would be difficult for some, I know, especially right now when they're virtual. So that's something that we don't want to let fall by the wayside. The students still need to do their best to join our virtual clubs. We have virtual community service hours we'll talk about. We do try to do some virtual events, but stay with us. We're going to keep updating that kind of thing and updating the opportunities available for the students, but they have to also seek them out. Because colleges, employers look at all of these things. They look at what classes have you taken? Are they the most challenging? Of course, they look at GPA, they look at your test scores, they look at your activities, but they definitely tell us, please tell your students quality over quantity. They'd rather you be in 3 clubs and be really involved than list a whole, laundry list of clubs that you've popped in for one meeting. That doesn't do anything for their campus, and it doesn't really do anything for you. Any awards that you earn, either in class or in your community, volunteer work, anything that you do outside of school, keep a record of that. You can start your portfolio soon. So that would be, again, that growth process over the 4 years, that's something to showcase when they go to college. Letters of recommendation are, some colleges really put a lot of stock into them, especially liberal arts colleges. So keeping in mind some teachers that know you well, or if you have someone outside of school that knows you well, keeping them in mind for recommendation letters. It's not even too soon to start thinking about people now. And of course, the personal essay, which they'll get lots of help with in their English classes. Okay, in 9th grade, I tell my kids, I would like you to have 20 community service hours minimum. And that's in just 9th grade. You need 20 to graduate, but that's not nearly enough. Colleges want more, Bright Futures wants more. So here's a place to start. I know right now it's a little more difficult, but the Wellington Library has reached out to us, and this is the contact, Miss Candace. She has at least 3 different ways that your child can earn virtual community service hours, in addition to a website I have there at the bottom. So that's our showcase for this month about ways to get hours. Of course, throughout the 4 years, hopefully, there will be non-virtual opportunities as well, but no reason to put it off until you can be in person, because these are some pretty easy ways, and there's also another way to learn more about your community. which is the goal. Another way to find volunteer hours, we have a club called Interact, and this club is focused on service. Coach H runs this club. He is part of our 9th grade support center. He also has a Google Classroom. So the Google Classroom code is listed there. You can check it out. It has a nickname so that you can find it. The focus is virtual, of course, but they have lots of partnerships with different communities and, different organizations within the community that help Wellington in many different ways. So being a part of this club is one way to guarantee that you're never going to have an issue finding service hours. They do meet every other Friday, and you can email Coach H for more information. Their next meeting is November 6th. Okay, so the class of 2024, that is your baby. The graduation requirements have not changed very much. However, a couple of things to consider. Your child needs 4 English credits in high school. That's 1 each year. Pardon me. Lunchtime. So you need 4 English credits. You need 4 math credits. Please note the caveat at the bottom. Even if your child took a math in middle school that was algebra or geometry, they still need 4 math credits at the high school level. So they may wind up with 6 or 8 math credits, but it still has to be at least 4 taken beginning with 9th grade. Algebra 1 is required and geometry is required. We will review the EOC requirements for those a little bit later. I know that some of you have questions about that. 3 sciences are required for graduation. One of these must be biology and one must be a physical science. That does not mean it has to be physical science. There's often confusion about that, but it needs to be a physical science, which can be physical science, chemistry, physics, and there's a few others, but for the most part, those are the 3 main ones that Wellington students take. You also need 3 social studies credits, and they are specific. World history is required, U.S. history is required, and American government and economics is required. Those are typically taken 10th, 11th, and 12th, respectively. However, for world history, there are a few other ways for you to earn that graduation requirement, and the same goes for U.S. history. For example, there are ACE classes that will count for the same credit. And if you have questions about that, we can look at that later. For performing in fine arts, they need 1 credit. PE, they need 1 credit. Please note, PE is made up of 2 pieces. There's the personal fitness component and there's the physical education component. So some people choose to do this. There's many different ways. And again, if you have questions about the PE credit, that would be an individual thing to check with your counselor, and we can describe the many pathways for that. You do still need 8 electives. Another thing that often confuses our students, this is not 8 electives plus all the other things I said. An elective is anything that's not a core class. So for example, if you're taking a foreign language, that's an elective. You already started your 8 electives right there. If you're taking PE, that's also an elective. Okay? If your child's in a social studies class as a freshman, possibly Holocaust honors or African American history, these are also considered electives. That does not mean that they're not academic. They are, and they are looked upon very favorably by colleges. So you need a 2.0 to graduate, and that would be unweighted. You do need 1 full online course. And then, of course, we talked about the community service hours. 20 is the minimum. We really recommend a minimum of 100, however, because 100 is going to get you the top tier of the Bright Future Scholarship.
Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Farley, and I just want to thank you also personally for joining us, joining our team. And we've really been looking forward to this. So that way we can give you all this information. So I want to go over a little bit about what earning credits look like. And right before I do, there was a question about, is there a PE waiver for students taking ACE classes? Yes, there is. I want to make sure to answer that. And then we'll make sure to keep answering your questions as we go. And also, of course, at the end, we'll do one at a time. So a little bit about me. What I did was before coming here 3 years ago, I worked at a middle school. So it all goes by like points, right? A's 4 points and so forth. B's 3. And so here, it's different. When you're in the high school, it goes by, we go by credits. And you can, while in middle school, you can earn credits, just like what Miss Say was saying. And I wanted to reiterate what she was saying when it comes to whenever you're earning, you're seeing on SIS, you see like a GPA, right? But that's just for for you to see. But credits are earned per semester. So for instance, and at the end of January, first semester ends, right? So that's when you will get that GPA. And then it also for second semester, so for instance, like third quarter, right? You're not gonna see the GPA hit. You're going to see on SIS, but it's not going to hit until the end of June. So first semester ends in January. August to January is the first semester. And then, of course, when we come back, it ends in June for the second semester. So I want to make sure to go over that. Semester credits are earned only for non-EOC classes, passed. So basically, for instance, Algebra 1 or Geometry, you don't get the final grade, and the GPA doesn't hit until the end of the class, end of the year there. Semester credits, like I said, they're earned twice per year. Your GPA updates when credits are earned. So when you finish first semester, then you're going to see your credit. You're going to have to make sure to keep up with that on the SIS. And if you need help logging in, students now, they're all used to it, logging in SIS. But keep checking over their grades. That's very important. GPA obviously is a key, and it does can start in middle school if they're taking, in high school class. So a lot of middle school kids, they've been taking Algebra 1 and even Geometry and Spanish 1. So those are classes that are high school credit, and it starts when you take those classes that start your transcript right away. Online classes must be completed to earn additional credits. Also, we have online requirements, so I want to make sure to let you know that when you do take an online class, that's a high school credit. It does count towards your high school GPA if it's a high school class. So some students didn't know that, as well as parents. So I just want to make sure that if you do take an online class, if they do take it, make sure they're taking it serious, and that you're monitoring them as well. Go on to the next slide. Semester exams, everybody's favorite, right? But here's a lot of key points that I wanted to make sure to go over. So to receive a passing grade for the semester, you have to pass 2 of the 3 grades, and we'll talk about that a little bit below here in just a second. So you got to pass 2 of the 3 grades used to calculate the semester average. So final exams, how much do they count for? They count for 20% of the semester grade, 20%. And as Ms. Say was saying, if you miss 1 day of school, you're missing 2. So if you're absent, if the student's absent and they miss 10% of the class, then students, they have to make sure, it's a requirement, they have to make sure they pass the final exam in order to earn the credit. So if they miss, let's just say more than 10%, and they had an A, and an A. So they had an A in the first 9 weeks and an A in the second 9 weeks, but they failed the final exam. Literally, they failed the class because they missed more than 10% of the class. So I really wanted to make sure that you did know that. So we really try to advocate for students to be present as much as possible. I do want to say that obviously the times obviously are different. Like Ms. Say said, we're not all physically here. We do have brick and mortar students here, but even if you're there virtually, get on camera, except for those, extreme circumstances. But for any reason you're having technical difficulties, let's definitely talk about that. And we are recording this too. There was a question earlier about, actually many questions. We've been getting emails. Is this going to be recorded? And yes, it will be. So if you ever have to go back and listen to this, we can definitely do that. But as far as semester exams, just know it's 20% of your grade. Be present. First 9 weeks, 40% of your grade. Second 9 weeks is the other half of the grade. Go on to the next slide. And then earning credits with EOC. So we do have EOC classes that students take, and you'll see them below. So 1 full credit is earned for the following. All right. So we have Algebra 1. So there's an EOC for the Algebra 1. There's an EOC for geometry, biology, and U.S. history. So these are important, very important, as you know. It's mandated to pass the Algebra 1 EOC, right? Which we are going to be taking in November. So I just want to let you know we are taking that in November. And just want to let you know also that they do count as 30% of the final grade. So it's a big chunk. So we really want to make sure that kids are focused on it. Especially I know with math, right? Algebra 1 teachers have like a guide of studying. So we want to make sure students get that guide to kind of practice and make sure they're prepared for that exam.
Hey, Mr. Farley.
Yes, ma'am.
So sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to add something. I did just get verification from the district recently that as of right now, the FLDOE has not approved waiving the online class requirement. I know that seems a little bit crazy since they're online all day long. That might change, but we don't want to start opening that up right now and telling them it's not required. So for right now, I do recommend that they still, take their online class through FLDS or dual enrollment, et cetera.
Definitely. And when it comes to online class, and if you're asking, how do I sign up, right? I want to really go over this, more in detail if you ever have more questions about it. But Palm Beach Virtual, it's a franchise, right, of the FLVS. I highly recommend Palm Beach Virtual because the students get their transcript, they get the grade on the transcript much faster. I just think it's an easier platform than FLVS, just going that route. Palm Beach Virtual is amazing, and it's all taught by the district teachers. So I do want it to go over that. What's that?
Oh, nothing.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought there was maybe a question. So Algebra 1 EOC, it must be passed in order to graduate. This year they have it where if the student passes the geometry EOC with a level 3 or better, that will be sufficient enough to make that to equal that requirement. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. All right. So, and also, as you know, we have the FSA. All right. So we do have that. So students must pass the 10th grade FSA reading assessment. And also, again, the Algebra 1 EOC with a level 3 or higher, if you're wondering what level. So we want to do a level 3 or higher. And I've already talked about how the EOC counts as 30% of the final grade of geometry, biology, and American history. All right. Doesn't count, the AP classes doesn't count in the ACEs, so it's waived. So we do have the EOC for those 3 classes there. That is a requirement. But we do have, what's good is we do have a concordant comparative scores for students. So for instance, on the left column, you'll see, the FSA ELA, right, for the reading. So there's we want to get a level 3. So what is a concordant score? So if a student gets the following, what I'm about to go over, it will meet the requirement of the 10th grade FSA reading assessment. So right there, you'll see, of course, if they get an FSA score on the ELA as a level 3, they're good. Also, if they get it on the SAT, if they get a 480 on the reading part, they're good. So that meets the requirement. ACT, 18. So there are concordant scores. Oh yes, Ms. Say.
So sorry, I'm seeing a question in the chat, and I know we're usually going to wait till later, but I know that this is on a lot of people's minds. Just to reiterate, if your child took algebra in 7th grade, and they took the EOC, and they took algebra they took geometry in 8th grade, they are good to go. If they took algebra in the 8th grade last year, and they are now taking geometry, they do not need to pass both EOCs. They have a choice. So if a student is in geometry right now, they can take the geometry EOC at the end of this year, and that will count for their EOC requirement for high school. They will be finished. They also can go ahead and take the Algebra 1 EOC like soon, like the retake, but we really don't recommend that unless they feel very, very strongly that they are really good at algebra, simply because they're going to be in geometry the whole year preparing for the EOC. So it's more likely that they'll do well if they take that EOC at the end.
Right, and we do have students who are in 8th grade, obviously at the middle school, and they're taking Algebra 1. So that counts as 1 year of math. So then they have to take 3 here on campus, because we want to make sure that we have the students meet the four credits of math. So I want to make sure to tell you that it does count. We had a question too about that, so I wanted to also mention that on here. And I just went over the ELA. Also on the right side, as you see, yes, the Algebra 1 EOC is required. We do have concordant scores here too. So of course on the EOC, if you get a level 3 or higher, you're good. SAT math, you score at 420, meets your requirement. And the PSAT, right? If you get a 430 on the math, golden. ACT, you got to score 16. And the PERT is no longer a concordant score. That was maybe 2 years ago now. Students still take the PERT for the dual enrollment. And of course, dual enrollment is another discussion that we can have later on in the future, maybe at a coffee talk or sometime here in the near future. We'll be talking more about dual enrollment. But a lot of dual enrollment students, they do take the PERT test to meet some standards of getting into dual enrollment. So that is a little bit about EOCs. And thank you, Ms. Say, for answering that parent's question. And we'll go on to the next slide. And this is big to me. Of course, the adjustment for freshmen is huge. Obviously, parents, I feel for you. My daughter's in middle school, and I totally understand how hard it is right now with everything going on. It's a big adjustment, being virtual. Even being here on campus, it's a different world no matter what. And I always tell my daughter, hey, grades are earned. They're not negotiated. And just know that when they come into the high school, not that middle school, in middle school, it was never given or earned, not at all. Because, teachers, they make sure of that. But just want to reiterate that to the students is that, when you're here at the high school, nothing's given to you. You have to earn it. So just by being present and putting your head down in class doesn't mean you automatically earn a grade. And I just ask you guys, parents, and normally you guys have been amazing. Even this year, I've been getting tons of emails, and I'm very happy to answer those, because if you don't know something, you don't ask, you'll never find out. So I want to thank you for that, and keep those coming. And I want to make sure to get those answers or those questions answered. I just ask that you please monitor their grades throughout the whole 9-week and throughout the whole year process. Especially midterm grading periods. There's a lot of times I get emails at the end of first quarter, right? And we're almost to the near of that, and almost about to start quarter 2. And a lot of times I get a ton of emails saying, hey, just want to check in. I saw that my student had an F and a D or whatever the case may be, right? At the end. So it's kind of where we're scraping. We're trying to get everything. We try to send out emails too. If your student had an F, we try to send those emails out. But just be on top of them. It's better to catch things sooner than later. So thank you for those who are doing that, and continue. And I just wanted to go over that. And like I said, be sure that your student there is completing each assignment. I know it's tedious. I have to do the same thing. I'll come home and I'll get on the SIS and just go through, okay, what assignment did you have? If I know you have to have some trust into them. They have to be, they got to be a big boy now or a big girl. They got to get through this. They got to start learning and be more independent. But still, try to set a schedule. If it's not every day, maybe every other day, but come up with a schedule to check up what assignment, what quiz do they have, what homework do they have, and this is very important too. This key factor down here that you'll see is communication with teachers is key. And when it comes to, I sometimes get questions. They're like, hey, Mr. Farley, what happened in this assignment? I'm not sure what happened. Or a couple other questions that I may not know everything about that, what happened, because, I'm not there, right? So there's many times you just want to communicate with the student to kind of see, because what I see on my end is the grade, right? If you need help communication with teachers, if you're not getting the answer that you need, or if they're not responding in a timely manner, please let me know. There's nothing more that I want to make sure that your questions are answered, and I want you to feel heard. That's what Ms. Hayden and the school is about. We want to make sure we take action and we be preventative of everything. And that's why you see a lot of communication from Ms. Hayden, from our team. I love our team. I love the school. So just communicate. Starts with the teachers, and it also ends with ourselves. So thank you again. And lastly, there's no substitute for hard work. There really isn't. If the students put in the hard work, hey, things are going to happen. Results are going to happen. And those results, by you stepping in and keeping on track, even though the students may see it as they may not want you to bother them or be all over them or anything, but you know what? They're going to thank you later. I always tell kids, parents are 95% right. If there's any students that's on here that thinks that your parents are not always correct, think again, because when you get older, you're going to thank your parents. You're going to respect them even more if you don't already do now. I'm not saying you don't now, but your parents are right most of the time because they've been there and lived it. So thank you. And go on to the next. And how many credits do I need to be promoted? How many? I hear this sometimes, especially freshman year, right? They're like, because it's different than middle school. They're like, how many credits do I need to move on to the next grade? So when it comes to high school, you're going to be promoted no matter what. So if you failed English 1 and you failed Algebra 1, you're going to still be a sophomore. So it's May, June-ish, you get your grades in June, right? And you're like, oh, I failed. I must be a freshman again next year. Not so much. You're going to be a sophomore. But here's the thing. You got to make up those classes, which I'm going to get to. But students earn 7 credits a year. Obviously, they all take 7 credits a year to graduate in 4 years. So if each student takes 7 credits each year for the 4-year term, they're going to have 28 credits. So there's no excuses to have that, right? Unless there's a very big circumstance, which we always work it out. But if they just do 7 credits each single year, they're going to have 28 credits. So it shouldn't be a problem. So I'm going to go back to what I was saying. If they fail English 1 or even physical science, whatever class they failed, not so much the electives, they can make up the elective another time. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But if they fail, say, English 1, for example, they're going to have to complete that. Because if they're a sophomore, they don't have a credit for English. So if they failed English, whether it's first semester, second semester, let's just pretend for this example, it's a full year, we have to get them in a credit recovery. We have to get that credit made up, or they won't get their diploma. And if there's a student that's in that predicament right now, we got current. Let's say you're current. If we have current 10th graders, which I know this is freshmen, if we have if they go to 10th grade and they fail, we're on it the following year early to get them caught up. But I don't want to have to get it to that point. Let's be on top of your students now even more. Things happen, life happens. So if something in life happens where it's just there's a lot of circumstances that led up to that failing, we'll always work it out. We're on the parents team. We're on the students team. We're not really on one side or the other. We do what's best for the student, and we will always do what we can to get them made up. So there's certain ways that you can make them up. We have a co-enrolled program who we submit the necessary paperwork. We send it to the parents, and then we send it back to our coordinator. They process it, and then we move forward with taking the class. And it's after school hours. I know that's not on the slide, but I just want to kind of go over that. I can keep going, right? I talk a lot, but just want to make sure you have everything prepared, but just be on top of them so we don't get to that point where they're going to fail. And even if you're promoted, like I said, I already went over that. And Ms. Say, do you have the parent have a question or anything? Okay.
I'm just ready to roll.
Ready to roll. I seen you pop up. All right, cool. So like I said, even if you're promoted, I can graduate until those credits are made. And I'm gonna say one more thing before we go to Miss Say. Here's the thing. All right, so make it up. If your student gets in that predicament after their freshman year, where they fail a semester or they failed a year-long class, whatever, right? I highly recommend getting that made up at least minimum by the time they're done for the first semester here. because they won't have a period off their senior year. Because why? They're going to have to keep making up their credits that they failed. So let's get them ahead. And there's a lot of students who want to give up. You know, they fail 1 or 2 or 3 classes and they're trying to make it all up junior, senior year. And they're like, you know, so stressed out. And I don't want them to feel that way. So whatever I can do, Miss A can do to help that, alleviate that, and stay on top of them. If you can too, hey, let's do it. We're all a team. We're on this together. So thank you very much. And we'll go on to the next slide.
Okay, I'm going to move on to GPA. I know we've discussed it different ways already. This is just to reiterate the cumulative GPA. So when you see QUM or weighted cumulative GPA on SIS, please understand that that is all of the high school classes ever taken. So your child's cumulative GPA right now may include 2 to 3, I think even up to 4. I think I have one student who has 5 middle school credits or high school credits from middle school. There's a computer class that counts, physical science may count, algebra, geometry, of course. So students a lot of times already have a cumulative GPA and this confuses them. They think that their middle school is all counting. Not true. It's only the high school credits. So that will only change at the end of a semester. So lots of kids say, oh my goodness, I'm failing first quarter. My GPA is going to be terrible. No college will take me. Well, not true. If you aren't doing well first quarter, that would be more of a sign to you that you need to make some changes. And then second quarter, you need to do a lot better. And on a midterm, you need to also do really well because that's averaged together to create one semester grade. Those semester grades change the GPA. And that's what colleges see on your transcript. They don't see quarter grades. So if you know, I always tell the kids, it changes January and June. So check your GPA in January. If you don't like it, check it again in June. Hope you like it better then. Moving on. I do also get questions about what does it mean to be weighted versus not weighted. So an unweighted GPA means that all classes are created equal, whether it's personal fitness or AP statistics. In that scenario, an A is worth 4 points no matter what, if an unweighted GPA. Of course, that does not always tell the whole picture to colleges, which is why they have a weighted GPA. So if a student gets an A in an honors class, for example, you'll see there that weighted, that's worth 4.5 GPA points. Okay, and if it's an AP class or an ACE or a dual enrollment course, those are all the same weight, and an A is 6 points there. And you can see on down the line, it changes slightly. So that being said, if a student has quite a number of Bs and maybe a C here or there, but they've been taking all AP, ACE, honors classes, they may have a higher GPA than a child who has straight A's, but is in all regular classes. So that's why there's 2 different GPAs so that colleges can see what kind of classes were taken, et cetera, et cetera. The weighted GPA is very, very important when you're applying to college and for many scholarships. This is always the GPA you give if anybody asks. You give them the higher one. That's the weighted one. However, to graduate, it must be a 2.0 unweighted. So that is a difference. Okay, we're going to move on. And when is one time this is very, very important? Well, when it comes to bright futures. If your child chooses to attend college, in the state of Florida, Bright Futures is an outstanding opportunity. This basically means that your child has a chance to have 4 years of college either paid for in full or paid for in part by the state of Florida. Thanks to the lottery. So if you ever played the lottery, you were actually funding your child's education. So in order to get the full ride, this would be a 4.0, just kidding, 3.5 weighted GPA. Now, note again, I said weighted. So for many students, they say, oh, that's actually very manageable. I think I could do that. Because that would mean that you had, some A's, some B's, maybe even a C. You can still have that 3.5 weighted GPA. And that gets you pretty significant scholarship. Now, it's not just a GPA. You also need to meet the testing requirement. The testing requirement for 100% tuition is 1330 for your student on the SAT, or a 29 on the ACT. They also need 100 service hours. Now, for the second tier of Bright Futures, which as of right now is 75% tuition paid, they need a slightly lower on all three categories. So a 3.0 weighted, a 1210 SAT, a 25 ACT on down the line, and 75 service hours. So ACE diploma candidates are exempt from the testing requirement. I get a lot of questions about that. So if a child sits for 7 ACE courses and does all the ACE requirements, they are exempt from that SAT, ACT requirement. Of course, they still need that test to get into college, but it does take some pressure off when they're testing. So they know that they've already got that, that part handled. Moving on. Okay. We're going to start moving a little bit away from the academic side so much and to the other really important part of what we do, which is keeping sane, finding a balance. You know, during this time right now, during virtual learning especially, we are getting more and more and more phone calls from parents, emails from students, just so many children who are suffering, who are struggling, who are having a really hard time figuring out how to manage their time. And we just want to offer a few tips that we've noticed that have been very, very helpful, and that have, this is what students who have been successful virtually are saying that they do. And this is from nationwide polls. So first thing, have an intentional workspace. So knowing that, let's say you're working at home, you don't just say, oh, I'm up, I got my computer, I'm going to work wherever I am. That is not very good for our children, honestly, for us either, because we need to know that we're going from one mode to another. So your child should know that this is my space where I work, and how that works in your house may be different from the next, but it should be consistent. It should be quiet. It should have all the things there, and it should be away from distraction as much as possible. Furthermore, it needs to be organized. Okay, your child needs to be organized. I don't just mean, you know, be neat and have everything orderly. I mean, have all your stuff. So have it all there before the class starts. Have your pen, have your pencil, have your notebook, have your microphone, have all your gear, have all the things you need, and keep it in the same place. And stay organized. So don't just do what I may or may not have done for my 5-year-old who was doing virtual kindergarten, where I had this beautiful workspace on day 1, and then by day 2, it was ruined. And I said, oh, well. Try to make sure that they maintain that space. And in that space, of course, as I mentioned, having all the gear available saves a lot of problems during the class. A flexible routine is extremely helpful. Know that they should have a routine that's pretty much set each day, but the time blocks might shift depending on the course load. That's why we're making sure that, you know, they remain flexible. Take breaks, head outside, get exercise, and be positive. This also means you parents. So, you know, they hear you when you say, God, this virtual learning sucks. This is so bad. Oh my goodness. How are we ever going to do this? You know, they listen. And, you know, we may feel that way very strongly, but the biggest receptors that your children have are their ears, and they're hearing everything. So the more that we try to frame things positively and, you know, are optimistic about things, the better for our kids. And of course, ask for help. Ask for help. Whatever it may be, from the teacher, from the counselor, please ask us. That's why we're here. And we're moving on. Okay, and to piggyback on that, there's a lot of things that your child doesn't have to deal with alone. Being stressed out, feeling anxious, feeling depressed, feeling rejected, feeling isolated, especially now, feeling alone, feeling angry. A lot of students are reporting feeling anger out of nowhere, and they're having a hard time dealing with that. Counselors are for more than just academics. We're here for all of those things too. And two quotations here I just want to remind you of. One, it's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way you carry it. So life can throw whatever it wants at us, but how we choose to carry it will make all the difference. If you share the load with your counselor, with your teacher, with your parents, with your friends, and you spread it out, it's not so heavy. And another thing, there's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And I state that to my students all the time because they think that if they make a mistake or if they're broken or if something's wrong, that they're ruined. And I very strongly disagree with that. Something that is cracked or broken and that is then fixed and used again, to me, is that much more powerful and that much more beautiful than something that claims that it's never been broken and has never made a mistake. And as I'm discussing that, I want to also then introduce to you the next level of help that we do offer on campus in case the school counselor may not have enough time or the school counselor may not be able to meet with your child as regularly as he or she needs. We have our Wolverine Wellness Center. And I'm going to have Miss Allison Joseph here to introduce our Wolverine Wellness Center and tell you how that might work for your family.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great day today. That was a lot of information, and I thank Ms. Say and Mr. Farley for putting that together because ninth grade is could be overwhelming for our students. And so I do want to let you know that we have the Wolverine Wellness Center available, and that's available for any one of our students, no matter what grade they're in. However, in ninth grade, it is a huge adjustment, just listening to all of the requirements that our students have to do. And it's a huge adjustment going from middle school over to high school, whether they're on campus or they are virtual. So we do offer mental health services at our school. They are at school and they can be done virtually as well. So I coordinate all of our referrals. So if any parent or student has any concerns and would like to know more about how we can help them, please, you can email me. My name is on the screen. It's allison.joseph@palmbeachschools.org. So you can definitely email me and we can go further. We do have two awesome therapists that work at our school. One is from Multilingual Agency and the other is from Data. And they do work in our school, but they do work for the agency themselves. So if you are interested in receiving services, it is confidential. Other than just getting serviced at the school. So please give us a call or an email and we can get back to you. Our services are free of charge. They do not go through your insurance either. So this is all for free. I know a lot of parents do struggle with the financial end of getting services because they can be expensive. So again, take advantage because they are free and we are here to help. I apologize. My cat. As you can see, I am virtual, so I understand the struggles of the virtual world right now. But please, we are here to help. We have 3 awesome people, including myself, that are there for you all. And it is a hard time for all of us, and we are here together. And that's what I think the biggest message that we want to send to you all is that we are a community and we are a school and we are here to help everybody. So I appreciate Ms. Say and Mr. Farley for allowing me to come on today to introduce myself and introduce our wellness center. And please let me know if there's anything that we can help you with. So we are good, and I think we're going to all come back.
Hey, we're back.
I have another slide, though.
I apologize.
Okay, so that's pretty much wrapping up. I did want to throw out a save the date that will be on this presentation when you see it later. That we will have another coffee talk November 12th that will focus solely on mental health and protecting the mental health of our teenagers. Specifically, we'll be talking about identifying negative thought patterns and how to help your child with that. We're also going to be discussing how to help your child when they're being extremely self-critical. We know this is something that our students struggle with a lot. And other ways to identify when your child may be depressed or when they may be struggling and not saying anything. So we'll have a lot more information about that. And again, that will be November 12th, and we'll have Ms. Joseph here with us again, as well as our 10th grade counselors. So just wanted to let you guys know about that so you can mark your calendars for our next lunch date. And with that, we're going to open this up. If anybody has any questions, the three of us are live. You can type it into the box and we will answer them in the order that they are received.
Live in action.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll wait for a couple of them to come.
This is awesome. There's no questions because we're so incredibly thorough and amazing, I'm sure.
That's right.
But if there are any questions that anybody has that you might not want to type in there or you want to get in touch with us later, I am going to post this PowerPoint to the 9th grade classroom as well so that you can access it at any time. We will also be presenting to the students. It will be a slightly different presentation that's geared directly to them. So when we do it for the students, we'll make sure that we take into account your feedback too. So we appreciate that. I do see a question here. It says, sometimes a student will have zeros, which the parent doesn't catch until after the fact. How can the student make those up? Well, the thing is that it depends on the teacher and the class. Some teachers will put a 0 in simply to let the kid know, like, hey, by the way, you didn't turn this in. So here is a note that you didn't turn it in. And then the student can still turn it in and they'll change the grade. How quickly that grade changes, that depends on the teacher and their system. So it may be true. Your child might tell you, oh, I did it, Mom. I swear I did it. And they may be telling you the truth, even if you see a 0. In that case, just email the teacher. If you email the teacher and say, my child says they turned this in, can I please verify? It's usually a pretty simple thing to verify. They are not necessarily lying to you. I do want to say that. That being said, if there's a 0, that's because the student was absent, or if it's a 0 because the student just didn't turn it in. Some teachers do have a policy. If it's more than a day or 2 late, that's it. It stays a 0.
Yeah, or they'll give a half credit.
Another way to kind of get ahead of that is to check that Google Classroom because assignment should be posted there. Let's see, any other questions? A PE waiver for multiple ACE classes. Yes, there are many different routes to get the PE waiver. A few, the ACE diploma. Any child who takes the 7 classes, who sits for 7 ACE courses, and I can review what those courses are later. It's a lot of different information, but for the ACE diploma, if they have that, they are waived from PE and they are waived from the online requirement. If a student does 2 years of a JV or a varsity sport at the high school level, they are also waived from the PE requirement. They can also get a PE waiver from doing marching band. However, then they're still liable for the personal fitness component, which they can then do in school or online. So a lot of different ways. So just, if you're not sure, just get in touch with Mr. Farley or myself. Another talk about addressing dual enrollment. Excuse me. Saved by the bell. Just kidding. I'll answer. Dual enrollment. Yes, absolutely. Dual enrollment is possible for 9th grade students. It's not possible for them to sign up yet. So we will be reviewing that with the students. We will be reviewing that with the students when the actual application opens back up for them. They will not be able to do that at this point, most likely until summer. We'll be in touch with Palm Beach State to see about spring, but generally speaking, we have a lot of bells here at Wellington. In case you were worried, sometimes we even call it Bellington High School. What? Anyway. Nobody calls it that. That was a really bad joke. But anywho, dual enrollment is not really something I recommend for students who have no idea what it is until summer, only because it can overwhelm them because suddenly now they're in a college class and they don't know the way it works. But basically, dual enrollment is really, really good to do in summer for freshmen if they want to do it. Any questions about dual enrollment? Just email us individually and we can walk you through that.
Yeah.
If your power goes out, I would say, first of all, start with FPL because I cannot help you. Second of all, no, all jokes aside, of course this happens. If something goes out with the power, I would recommend using whatever you can, the phone, tin cans, passenger pigeon, just let somebody know and try to do it soon. Because I do get emails sometimes from kids who say, my power went out a month ago and I haven't been able to get on since. Can you help me? And then I'm kind of at a loss. So the sooner you communicate, the better.
Yeah.
If that does happen, again, the more people you CC on the email, the more likely it is to get to the right person. So when in doubt, email Mr. Farley or me because we can connect you with the right person.
Especially if you see an absence, like if you see the power went out and it's absent right on
Mr. Farley, you want to grab one?
Oh, can you hear me?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just saying, like, on SIS, say the power went out, and you see the absence, the A for absence, right? You're like, whoa, hey, our power went out. So normally you can get a hold of me. That's fine. One of the counselors, because what we'll do is we'll get with the secretary, but we'll first want to get more of the situation, more of the story of the situation, and kind of see what happens. So that way we can take into account on what's going on. Things like that happens. Like I mentioned, life does happen. So, so if you do see an absent there because the power went out, let us know. And if that was marked present, maybe you can contact the teacher and just be like, hey, just want to let you know we missed a few things. Could you maybe send us some more information or go over with my son or daughter whenever you have a chance about what they may have missed. Send me what I may have missed. Communication. That's it. Communication, and we'll make sure to get it done.
Thank you, Mr. Farley.
Oh, you're welcome.
Going to answer Miss Kim. If a student passes one semester of a required class, but not the second, do they earn half a credit? Yes. So let's say, for example, they take world history. Okay, they take world history for a semester. They get an A. Second semester, I don't know, a horrible virus hits, hypothetically. And like everything's crazy and like we're wearing masks and everything goes nuts and maybe it's a bad semester. This could happen. If that happens, yes, that second semester does need to be made up. And we have multiple ways for that to be done. As discussed earlier, they can do Edgenuity on campus. They could do co-enrolled, which is the same program, but they do it after school hours. Or they sometimes they can do it the following year, but that would be a plan to work out with the counselor. And of course, the goal would be if you know that you're failing first quarter or third quarter, you still have another quarter to keep from failing. So the sooner you know you're struggling, reach out immediately because we have a lot of experience with our students and with our faculty. So if something is wrong and you're failing, let us help you come to figure out a plan. And Mr. Farley wanted to add to that.
Yeah. So I know we didn't really talk much about it. It was about grade forgiveness. Say it's that world history that they failed second semester, right? So let's just say they had an F or a D, either one. It can make up that credit. So if you got a C or better, you cannot make that course up because you got a C or better. So if you got an F or a D, you can make that up. So you can do that in different ways. Some people do it online, but I highly recommend not always reverting to FLVS, especially math classes. We don't like to approve at all, really, honestly. In certain circumstances we may look into it, but we like to approve classes that are not so much offered on campus if it's an online class. But we do have a co-enroll program. It's kind of like a credit recovery, basically, right? It's like a great forgiveness. So you take it virtually through distance learning, I should say, outside school hours. If they say you got a B, then we'll replace that D or F with that current grade that they made up. So I wanted to say that. That was the first thing that I wanted to say. Second, this is to all parents, students, whoever is there. Hopefully not students, they should be in class, right? But for all parents, I do want to say, and this is coming from not just myself, but Miss Joseph, the leader of our school, the leaders of our school, is we're here for you. Anyone who experienced something in their family due to the COVID, I just want to personally say, sorry for anything the family or any losses. We're here for you, and if something happened, we want to know about it, so that way we can talk, whether it's virtually or physically in person. We want to talk to that student right away and see how what they're going through. So if you did go through a family situation or a friend, because if you lost someone because of COVID, and I'm sincerely apologize, and I do hope that throughout time you all can heal. And I just want to say that we are here for the students and you, if you need someone to talk to.
Okay, I wanted to, I did notice we had a question about the Algebra 1 EOC, and I thought this would be a really good chance to reiterate something very important. Any student who took algebra in 8th grade, they should still take the test in November, for sure. Yeah. They should take the Algebra 1 EOC, retake in November to see how they do, and hopefully they pass. And if they do, then they have that pressure relieved. But I want them to know that, taking that is a great idea, because let's say they don't do well, or maybe they just have, testing anxiety day. Fortunately for them, they can still take the Geometry 1 in spring. That doesn't mean that they should not take the algebra. You should still take the Algebra 1 EOC in November, because that's going to let you know what you retained from the previous year. And algebra is a foundation for many other classes. So it is very, very important that they take the one in November as well. I wanted to point that out. A couple other questions here. Mr. DeVee says, you're in the wrong profession. You're funny. I'm in the right profession. You have to be funny with the students. Otherwise, they don't listen to you ever. So,
and then we had one asking, how do they get a hold of us to make an appointment? Each counselor can be different. I'm speaking for myself. You can email me. That's no problem. If I don't answer the phone or leave a voicemail, it's fine. But the best way for me is I'm always around a computer, even, whenever I can. If I have it on notification on my phone, most of the time, unless I'm testing, I got to turn my phone off, right? So the best way to reach me is through email. And if I need to call you, I will. And or if we need to do a Google Meet, we will. But the best way is to email me, for getting a hold of me, and we can meet. So.
Same here. Email is good for me. I also wanted to address the Algebra 1 EOC study guide. Sorry about that. I would recommend talking directly to the teacher, because that's what they're working on all year. If you're referring to a child who took it in 8th grade, I would still recommend they talk to their teacher now, who they have for geometry, because our entire math department here is very well versed in the EOC requirements, what will be on the exam, and they're going to be able to direct any current geometry students to the proper resources. So you can find these resources anywhere. I mean, you can Google it, but again, I would prefer and I would recommend going directly to our teachers here, because they are the experts at making sure our students pass the EOC. And when is the EOC in November? Give me 1 minute on that. I thought I had the date, but now I feel like I'm wrong, and I do not want to tell you the wrong date. So I'm having my minions look that up right now, and as soon as I know, I will pass it on. Are there any other questions? All right, looking pretty good. So
I think that there will be something that goes out about it, whether it's a testing calendar or an email. But I think there'll be a notification. Like you said, I don't know the exact date, but if you want to email me personally, you can put brandon.farley@palmbeachschools.org, and we'll find that out. We'll find that out, because once I see that email, I'll make sure to have that information, and I'll be more than happy to send that to you. Okay. So that's not a problem, and we can answer your question.
And that's also the kind of information that we'll post on our 9th grade Google Classroom. Yeah. So if you guys are, like, where do I find this stuff? You can go to our Google Classroom, and like I said, it is a work in progress, but as we're going through the year and starting right now, I am trying to add a lot of resources in the classwork stream, so that you can find information regarding dual enrollment, how to get the Wolverine Wellness Center, how to, when the testing is, the testing calendar, school map. I know some students may be coming back in January and might be overwhelmed with that. We'll make sure that we have all of those things listed on our Google Classroom too. All right, so now we are seeing how wonderful Mr. Farley is, and I'm just trying not to
Who's
cry.
that guy? Who's Mr. Farley?
Whatever.
Weirdo.
Look at this. More Mr. Farley. I'm quick too. Jeez,
You are.
Louise.
You are. No, I'm saying that like I take it. Me and Miss A, even Miss Joseph, we take it serious. Like ninth grade team, like I said, is like the people that we have. Like literally this, and I'm not knocking my other schools, but this is probably my favorite school I've worked for, because admin, everybody. I mean, any situation that happens, whether it's a simple email or mental health, whatever it is, academic, like bullying, whatever the case may be, like we're on it. Like we want to be, because at the end of the day, if something happens on our watch, right? Where we missed an email because of A, B, and C, and it can be a severe situation that, well, we just didn't get to or whatever. I don't want to say that. And Miss says like that too. And if there are days that maybe a full day, or hopefully not two, but if there's a full day we don't get to you, I'll apologize for everybody. But there's times that we have to proctor, or we may be currently dealing with this, or not dealing, but working with the student, or dealing with multiple situations all at once. SBT meetings, I mean, you name it, we might be involved. So please don't ever take it personal at all, because we want to get back to you. And we want to also make the school look good. Not just me. My name is my own brand. Miss Joseph, her name is her own brand. Miss A is a brand. Our school's a brand. Miss Hayden's a brand. And I want to just congratulate everybody, not just Miss Hayden, because she's done amazing. Like I don't know how she does it, because I mean, with the pandemic and things going on and all standards. So I want to, my hat, if I had a hat, I'd raise it to her. All right. I raise it to every employer here, every employee here and under this employer, I think, because especially the ninth grade team, we're here. And I know this was just a little rant because of an email. Just know we're going to do our very best, and we will always try to get back to you. All right. So if it does take a moment, bear with us. We will get to you. Sorry.
And I think that the most important, of Wellington High School is that we are here to support the students. So whatever it is, whether it's academic or it is a mental health or it has to do with just logistics, whatever it might be, we are here and we will work with you. So please, if anything else, get that message today. I think that that's been definitely driven in today with our, with our presentation. And we take pride in that. And I hope you see that from all of us, because we really do care about our students and we want to see them successful. And so in order to do that, we need to support them in any way that we possibly can. And that's what we're here for.
Thank you, Ms. Joseph. And thanks for all you do and your communication too with us and students. And we've done a lot of Google Meets, and you coordinated all those. So thank you very much for getting us involved with that.
Thank you
Very much.
Thank you for you guys as well.
Any
I just
more?
wanted to add, I did have my my personal secretary, Minion, go find the answer for me about the algebra. So it's going to be around November 9th. There's a series of days. So it starts, it's going to start November 9th, and then there will be a series of days, and they're going to divide it up. So you'll be getting information about, when you can test and when not. And then there will be a makeup day as well. So pretty soon, it's coming up.
So November 1st to the 30th, one of those dates, 31st, it's around that time. 1st to the 30th. No, but yeah, Miss A, thanks for getting her on it. And if for any reason we don't get the exact date, like I said, email me and we will.
Ms. Pereira too.
We will do it. Right. Our testing coordinator is Kathleen Pereira. If I said that right, Kathleen Pereira. You know what? You want me to? I can put her. Hopefully she don't. You should have a contact email. I will be more than happy to post her email. If you have even more details you want to know from testing, she's the first to get it. And if we don't always know something, again, we apologize, but we'll definitely find out. We're all about resources for you. Miss A is a wonderful resource. I see myself as a good resource. So come to us, and we'll be more than happy to find the answer. That's one thing I like to do, is find the answer.
All right, so I think we're going to wrap it up. And if there's anyone who didn't get their question answered, or you have anything else you want to talk about personally or privately, please do send us an email. That's why we're here. One of the mantras of our profession is that every child who has a trusted adult on campus, at least one trusted adult, is so much better off. They find that academically, socially, personally, having that one trusted adult outside of your family that you can go to on campus to talk to is key. Maybe it's me, maybe it's Mr. Farley, maybe it's a teacher, but having someone, it's really, really important. So we hope that your child is starting to find that person on campus, and that we can help them and we can be that person for them. So I'm going to put up now just a little save the date, as I mentioned earlier, about our next coffee talk. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.